It's no secret that Donald Trump is not a big believer in eating healthy or exercising, but his own personal fitness habits are now being put upon people in the United States in the form of postponing programs that are meant to keep Americans healthy. So to give you an example, in the previous administration, part of former First Lady Michelle Obama's famous Let's Move initiative was to give consumers more information when choosing what food to buy in stores. So in 2016, she announced an important change to the nutrition facts panel. The label displayed on most store-bought food, which would for the first time include added sugar. Now, if you look at the labels right now, for the most part, they don't include information about added sugars. And Michelle Obama fought to make it, change that system, to make it available so you can be an informed consumer. Now, they have decided, the FDA under Trump has decided to further postpone the implementation of that policy. The deadline initially set by the FDA was July 26, 2018, but Trump's new FDA commissioner announced that the deadline would be extended to 2020. There were other examples of the government postponing policies that would have helped us with more information to keep us healthy. Last May, the FDA announced that it was delaying the implementation date of a long-planned requirement that restaurants include calorie counts on menus. And also keep in mind that Trump has yet to appoint a chair, co-chairs, or members of the President's Council on Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition.
So look, we often talk about on the show about not every regulation is right, and it's not big government, small government. It's just whatever makes sense. So there is one rule in here that I don't love, but I'm probably wrong about it. I thought we shouldn't get rid of smoking in restaurants. That was totally wrong.
You thought that?
Yeah, and I'm not a smoker. I just thought freedom, right? Saved millions of lives, my bad. Okay, but they have a new rule where the sports stadiums and movie theaters and et cetera, they also have to put the information on. And I'm picturing like the information on the popcorn bucket. I'm like, just get off their ass a little bit, right? So, but overall, okay, so you can pick one of those and say, yeah, okay, I agree with Trump on that if you're so inclined. But overall, he's getting rid of things that we already know worked. So for example, at least put 50% whole grain in the breads in the kids' lunches, have non-fat milk over 1%, et cetera. Now, how do we know that it worked? Childhood obesity rates have been on the rise for as long as we've been keeping track of them until the last decade when Michelle Obama did this plan. Now, you don't have 100% proof that it was the plan, but she did the plan and then it went down for the first time ever. This is some proof. You might want to keep going in that direction. And Trump's like, nope. I want whatever Obama did. It doesn't matter. We're going to reverse it. Yeah.
The saddest thing is that it's kids that are going to suffer. And I'm with you, Cenk. I hate it when people tell me what to do. I don't want people to tell me that I need to eat a salad or whatever. But the thing is that these regulations aren't even most of the time telling people what to do. They're just giving you more information. And so Trump is delaying rules that would just inform citizens on what is in the food they're eating, what we're giving to our children. But he doesn't want people to know that because it's so bad that once it's published on the packaging, people might decide not to eat it. And so whenever someone tries to take away my information, I get really angry. So
yeah, but this is just another example of what this political party is in favor of, right? In every issue. The less information, the better, right? Let's dismantle education. Let's get rid of this notion of critical thinking and actually analyzing issues with nuance. It's not something that just recently emerged. It's something that they've been working on for decades now. Dismantling education and critical thinking is, right-wing 101. And when it comes to this, you're right, they're not forcing anyone to do anything. They're just providing more information about the food you're about to consume. You get to make the decision. If you want to eat the high-calorie foods, Michelle Obama isn't going to magically appear and then strangle you or take your hot dog out of your hand. You get to eat your hot dog. You can have as many hot dogs as you want, right? But it's unfair that for some people like myself, if I want to know what that information is, I don't get to know that information because the Trump administration decides ignorance is bliss.
Okay, yeah, so go ahead.
Two funny things. I've got, this is my favorite story for tonight because it's so much about the science and also about hypocrisy. The Dr. Jackson, the funny thing about the story is that whilst Trump is holding up all this regulation to stop people from knowing what's in the food they eat and from eating healthier, Jackson, the White House doctor, is going to be working with Trump to get him talking to a nutritionist to develop him healthier meals that he doesn't have to cook himself, and also work with him on an exercise plan. So the doctor is telling Trump, you need exercise, you need a better diet. But Trump is telling the public, don't worry about all that stuff, it's fine. You don't need health.
But as we know, Trump might not listen to that because, and this is true, he believes that if you exercise, it's like using up your battery. So he thinks
that energy is finite.
That you have a certain amount of finite energy, and so people who exercise are idiots because they'll die quicker.
Are we allowed to talk about the lies that are in his health report in the first place? There's 4 huge lies that were published about him. One was that he wasn't obese. Well, his actual height is 6'2", not 6'3". That's in his driver's license. So by that measurement, he falls under the guidelines of being obese. They said he had excellent cardiac health, but by every measure, he has heart disease. He's got a measurement of 133 on the calcium buildup level in his coronary arteries. So he has heart disease. They said he has no cognitive issues based on one 30-question test that is only designed to be assessing for the early signs of Alzheimer's. It's not an IQ test. It's not a test of fitness to govern. So when they say he has no cognitive issues, they have literally no information about that. And they said, he just has great genes. And did they do any sort of genetics testing? Not that was included in the report.
Okay, and at an average meal, apparently he has 2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fish, and a chocolate malted. What? You just watched the video by the Young Turks, home of the revolution. If you'd like to get a lot more than that, get the full show by becoming a member. tytnetwork.com/join.